SDG number 15, Life on Land. What can we do to solve the problems addressed by it, and what are the people's perspectives on it?
Ruben has been engaging deeply with the SDG number 15, Life on Land. With his team, he has researched on how we can improve our communities by actually taking action and therefore getting rid of the habits that are holding our society back from becoming the best that it could be. Most people think that a lot of money, effort and time is needed to make a difference, but not necessarily. Today, Ruben is going to share with you experiences that he's had with different people to see what are the perspectives that they have and what is the impact of the problems addressed by the SDG on their lives. With this, you will get a much wider panorama and insights on what can we learn from today to have a better tomorrow.
The Sustainable Development Goal number 15 of the UN states that we should protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems, sustainably manage forests, combat desertification, and halt and reverse land degradation and halt biodiversity loss. Well, with this SDG, we understand that the most important thing here is to preserve diverse forms of life on land by protecting, restoring, and promoting the conservation of ecosystems, mainly on Earth. And well, the ecosystems that have been more endangered the last years have been forests, jungles, and well, the derivatives of these ecosystems, either way due to human action such as overexploitation of resources or the global warming. We can see this in many examples, for example the cases of the Amazon rainforest, that is one of the Earth's greatest lungs because it is to be taken in account that it produces 20% of the planet's oxygen, which is a lot. And the last years, mainly this one, it has been suffering a lot from deforestation, overexploitation, also wildfires, and all these things have been producing very negative effects to this ecosystem because, well, first of all, we have to take in account the forest loss, which has been very significant, and also well, it's the home to many species of animals and plants which have lost their homes partially, and some are actually very endangered. And well, now taking this in account, we have to see which are the opinions of the people. What do they think? Why do they think this is an important problem to solve? And what do they promote to do so? Leaving aside the already well-known international examples such as the one of the Amazon rainforest, I want to focus in one example that is more national, more statal, more local, that is not really well known, but it's also a very important example to be taken in account. I'm referring to the case of Cheran. During the last decade, organized crime started deforesting the area of Cheran, which is a forest, a very big forest that started to be deforested. They started getting into the forest with trucks, cutting down trees and taking the wood with them, until a point where there were no more trees. Almost the mountains were almost empty when they in the past had a lot of trees, and people started concerning a lot because, well, the weather started to be hotter. Also, it didn't look the same way. Also, the animal species presence were much less, and the people arrived to a point where they could not tolerate more of this abuse, of this deforestation, of this overexploitation of resources, and they decided to take arms and fight back to the organized crime. And they fought alone almost, because they got almost no support from the government or things like that. And nevertheless, they got the victory, and now they maintain the area of Charan. They started reforestating, and the area is now with more trees, greener, looking more like in the past. And we can take this as a very important example on how we should care of the ecosystems of the forest, of the planet in general. Because when we went to the community of Charan, as we were doing the research on this topic, on this SDG, we got to talk with many of the members of the community, and they have a very deep sense of connection with the nature, and also they are very aware of the importance of ecosystems like the one that they live in. And it's very important to take in account that they already did something very important to do that, because the problems related with this SDG were affecting them directly, were affecting the community of Charan directly, and they had to do something because they couldn't get the same quality of life that they had before, because now there was less oxygen production in the area, also less resin production, and it was really bad for them, so they decided to do something. Of course, I don't mean that we should take arms, but the lesson that we have to take in account here is that we have to do what's necessary to protect our ecosystems, our livelihood, and our planet. We also got to interview local people from our city, Morelia, either friends, teachers, parents, etc. And their opinions do not differ much from the ones of the people in Charan. They consider that the problems related to this SDG are very important to solve, because if we don't focus on protecting the life on the ecosystems, either flora and fauna, the world eventually will fall in an ecological catastrophe, because its ecological order will break, and nobody wants that to happen, because that will put in danger not only human life but also all life on Earth. And that's why we should focus on taking action that is strong enough to solve these problems. As a conclusion, we can say that people normally think that these problems are very important to solve. They give them the importance that they deserve when it comes to awareness, but when it comes to the practice and to taking action to actually do something to solve the problems, to improve the world, they procrastinate, or they simply don't do what it takes to solve the problems, but only in some cases. Normally, they do it only when their lifestyle is in danger or where they live. For example, in the case of the people in Charan, because as we saw, they actually took action, but they started doing it until a point where their ecosystem was being directly damaged and they could suffer the consequences. But the people that is not suffering actually, for example the ones that we interviewed in our city, are not doing very strong measures to solve the problems. And what I think that could be done and that should improve our world a lot is not waiting until seeing the consequences and that the world is coming down, but actually taking action before the bad consequences are present, and taking responsibility and actually doing the measures that are required to solve these problems, taking collective action. And that's what will allow us to save this world and to protect our ecosystems, and more than anything, ensure a nice future for the next generations. Thank you for listening, and keep tuned for more.